Good morning and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Minneapolis City Council. My name is Barbara Johnson and I am the president of the council. And we have the pleasure this morning actually of introducing two groups. And we have a group of students that have joined us. Well, actually we have two groups of students, but the first group of students that came and met with us earlier this morning are from Best Academy in North Minneapolis. And they had, so wave your hands, you guys. And they had some great questions about city government for those of us who were able to attend this morning, and really great questions and fun to interact with these kids. So we're delighted that you came down. I guess you're going to watch a little bit of the city council meeting, so we're really delighted for that. So thank you very much for joining us today. The other group of students that we have is the De La Salle High School boys basketball team. And they won the state championship for their, what do you call it, class in basketball for, we'll read the resolution, which will give you the history. But anyway, we're delighted to have them come down. So if they would come up and join us, please, come on up in the front and kind of go between the two sections here so we can get everybody in the picture. We are just really pleased to have them here today. And so I'm going to turn this over to Councilmember Jacob Fry, who represents De La Salle High School.
Thank you, Council President. And for those that are watching at home, I'm actually not this short in real life. It's just when you look relatively. We're extremely proud to have De La Salle and the basketball team in the ward right now. And there have been very few things that have remained the same since last year and this year, but one of the things that has remained the same is De La Salle won the state championship last year. We brought them up. They won the state championship this year. We hope that you guys dominate next year and then dominate the year after that as well. The morning after your state championship victory, I was looking in the paper, and it said something like, for De La Salle, fourth time's a charm. Which kind of annoyed me, actually, because actually the first time was a charm, the second time was a charm, the third time was a charm, and the fourth time was a charm. So you guys have won in dominating fashion. I love everything that you're doing, and we are absolutely proud to have you in the third ward. Side note, I had the honor of taking a tour of De La Salle High School I guess it was about a year ago now. And one of the things that struck me most was actually your cafeteria. And when you look around the cafeteria, it is one of the most diverse places that I've ever seen in my entire life. But it's not just diverse in the cafeteria as a whole. Every single table was diverse. You have people from a trillion different cultures that are eating, laughing, having an absolute ball together. And I think that's really representative of what D is. So without further ado, I will begin with the resolution here. And this is honoring De La Salle High School Boys Basketball 2015 Minnesota Class AAA State Champions. Whereas De La Salle High School of Minneapolis won its fourth straight Minnesota Class AAA State Championship on March 14th, defeating St. Paul Johnson High School 82-64. And whereas De La Salle is only the third high school in the history of the Minnesota State Tournament to win 4 straight boys championships, the 2014-15 team finished with a record of 27-4, were champions of the Tri-Metro Conference with a 12-0 record and champions of Section 3 AAA prior to winning the state tournament. And a side note, if you guys win next year, you will be the only school, I think, in history to win 5 in a row. So yeah, no pressure at all. Whereas head coach Dave Thorson now has a career record of 477 wins and 129 losses. In his 21 years at De La Salle, the school has qualified for 13 state tournaments, won 7 titles, and finished as runner-up twice. Going back to 1927, De La Salle boys basketball teams have qualified for 46 state tournaments and won 21 state championships. And whereas the team represents a microcosm of the entire De La Salle student body, the most diverse private high school in Minnesota, defined by every possible demographic, including socioeconomic, race, neighborhood, and family background. The 16 players and managers on the team came to De La Salle from 12 different grade schools, parochial and public, including every single neighborhood in Minneapolis. And whereas all 6 Islander seniors have been accepted to colleges during Coach Dave Thorson's career at De La Salle, every senior has matriculated to college. And whereas, in alphabetical order, the team roster includes Sakar Anim, and I'm going to get out the phonetics here, Kevin Wasay, Gabe Kalshore, Jarvis Johnson, Eli Brimacombe, Gonar Marr, Sakar Anim, Will Irvin, Sam Jones, Jeffrey Daubington, Joshua Collins, Rob Hanna, Austin McGarren, Klatesh Stevenson, Philip England, Dave Thorson, and then the head coach, Dave Thorson, assistant coaches, Todd Anderson, Nicholas Grew, Jalen Jasper, and Tim Muir. And now, therefore, so we already got the assistant coach. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Minneapolis City Council that the City of Minneapolis congratulates the De La Salle boys basketball team and coaches for winning the 2015 Class AAA state championship.
It's such a pleasure to represent De La Salle, and I can tell the City Council that we take such pride not only in representing the island and De La Salle, but representing Minneapolis. We have the opportunity to not only play in our state, but this year we played in 3 other states as well, and we take great pride and take it very seriously that we represent the city of Minneapolis, and De La Salle has, obviously in a positive way, for 115 years. We are so grateful for this today. It means so much. And as Jacob and I were talking earlier, we plan to make this an annual thing if no one complains too much. Our seniors today actually are going to present the council through Jacob, our representative, with a 4-peat championship basketball that is signed by our coaches and every player. Throughout the season, we had a theme that we didn't tell anyone about, and that theme is it's a Twitter hashtag for FMIB 31415 money team, and we kept that as a secret the whole year, something that we rallied around. So that's why that hashtag is on the ball. We're so grateful for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dave. I think I'd like to just pass the microphone around and ask the young men to identify themselves, please.
Hi, I'm Kevin Wessa. I'm a junior, class of 2016.
Robert Hanna, junior, class 2016.
Gabe Kelsher, class of 2018.
I'm Will Irvin, and I'm class of 2017.
I'm Austin McGarren, class of 2016.
I'm Sam Jones, class of 2016.
Philip England, class of 2016.
I'm Cole Testisen, class of 2016.
I'm Gonar Marr, class of 2017.
Sakaria, senior 2015.
Jeffrey Dobbington, 2015.
Jarvis Johnson, 2015.
Eli Brimacombe, 2015.
We're very proud of our seniors as well. Sakar is going to Marquette University. Jeffrey's going to Briarcliff University. Jarvis is going to the University of Minnesota. And Eli, most likely, is going to St. Olaf or the College of Worcester in Ohio. And we all hope that someday all of you Best Academy students are talking about being on a championship team, doing great in school, and going to college as well. Thank you. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Awesome. Thanks.
Congratulations. Great job. Congratulations. Yep.
I'm going to call this regularly scheduled meeting in the Minneapolis City Council to order. Clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Fry is absent. Palmisano.
Present.
Gordon.
Here.
Kano.
Here.
Reich.
Here.
Bender.
Here.
Glidden.
Here.
Yang.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Quincy.
Here.
Warsami.
Present.
Goodman.
Present.
Fry.
Here.
President Johnson.
Here.
There are 13 present.
We have all members present this morning. And so the first item on our agenda is adoption of the agenda. And we have a number of changes to the agenda. So I think I'll go through them one by one and people can tell me if I've missed anything. The first is a motion by Councilmember Andrew Johnson to modify item 6 under the order of new business to replace the reference to Chapter 309 to extended hours of operation with Chapter 259 in general. Councilmember Johnson, is that just kind of a typo or?
It was a typo,
Typo,
yes.
okay.
Unfortunately, I got the wrong
Okay.
chapter in there. Thanks.
Okay, on that motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Next is motion by Councilmember Glidden to include under the order of resolutions, a resolution supporting a strong economy and working families. Is there a second? Any discussion on that motion to include? Seeing none, all in approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Then we have Councilmember Goodman. Is this under the item then in CD&RS?
Thank you, Madam
Just an
President.
amendment
It's an
during-
amendment.
During
to
the item, okay,
Yep.
all right. And then, this is under Committee of the Whole, so it's just a motion under the Committee of the Whole report, okay. And then item 6, the interim use permit, is under unfinished business. Okay, so we'll do that during the
And I have one more.
committee meeting. Okay, Councilmember Glidden has one more.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is more a technical motion. This is to move under new business. There was a repetitive item, so I'm going to move to strike item number 7 as it repeats item number 1 and then renumber the items after that to fall in sequence. So I will move that.
All right, so Councilmember Glidden has moved to strike number 7 under new business and renumber the items in that category. Now, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. With that, we have a motion, we need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Next is acceptance of the minutes of the adjourned session held April 2, 2015, and the regular meeting of April 3rd, 2015.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Next, we have referral of petitions, communications, and reports of the city officers to proper committees and departments.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Next, we have the reports of the standing committees, and the first committee to report is Committee of the Whole, and that committee is chaired by the Council Vice President Elizabeth Glidden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There is one item for approval on Committee of the Whole agenda, and this is a staff direction to direct an enterprise-wide process around workforce assessment and diversification. I'll move the motion as it was amended in the committee itself. So,
Councilmember Glidden has moved the Committee of the Whole. So essentially, it's on there. Okay. On the Committee of the Whole report with the one item with 4 lettered items.
yes.
Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Fry.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
Bender.
Aye.
Glidden.
Aye.
Yang.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Quincy.
Aye.
Warsami.
Aye.
Goodman.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That report is adopted. And next, we have the Community Development and Regulatory Services report, and that committee is chaired by Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you, Madam President. The Community Development and Regulatory Services Committee is bringing forward 9 items for approval this morning. Notable items are item number 1, which is our regular liquor, business, and gambling license applications. Item number 7, which is our consolidated plan budget, as well as filing all of the public comments for the 30-day public comment period. And item number 8, which I'm going to pull for an amendment. So with that, I'll move items 1 through 7 and item 9 for approval.
Councilmember Goodman has moved the community development report with the exception of item 8. Any discussion on any of those items? Seeing none, clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Fry.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
Bender.
Aye.
Glidden.
Aye.
Yang.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Quincy.
Aye.
Warsami.
Aye.
Goodman.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
Those items are adopted. On item 8, Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you, Madam President. As most of you know, this is making a change in our tiered rental license and condo ordinance. This would create a tiered system that has been discussed over a long period of time. One of the issues that came up in the public hearing that I'm bringing forward today is to ensure that calls for emergency assistance, as set out by statute, would not be noted as calls that would count against a property owner's rental license. In addition to that, we're just reinforcing that rental dwelling licenses in the city, we tell the managers, and the managers then tell their tenants that they're not allowed to limit tenants' rights as it pertains to emergency services. So essentially, there could be a situation where someone would want to make a domestic abuse call, but the landlord would tell the tenant, if you call the police, it's going to, affect your ability to rent this apartment. We want to make sure that that does not happen. And we don't use those calls now, but I want to reinforce both that we don't take those calls into account, and that managers are required to tell their tenants they shouldn't be afraid to call 911. So the amendment is in front of you under motion by Goodman, amending 1F and 2H.
Councilmember Goodman has moved to amend the ordinance coming out of committee to include this item that's before us. Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to thank Councilmember Goodman for bringing this forward. I don't serve on the committee anymore, and I wasn't there, but this is a concern that I had. I don't think we want to have any kind of chilling effect on calling 911. My understanding is that even police incidents aren't going to trigger the tier, but it will be added and it will be calculated in there. But this makes explicitly clear that it calls for medical assistance or emergencies or other family disputes and those kinds of things won't create any major problems, and we need people to be able, willing, and to feel free to call 911 at any time. I appreciate you bringing this forward, and I'll certainly support it.
Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will note that the committee unanimously supported this issue. It's that we didn't want to, on the fly, create our own amendment in committee, and also just thank our friends at Legal Aid who worked with us to bring this language forward and to point it out as something that needed a little additional attention.
Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam President. What I'd like to say doesn't have to do with the amendment, but the underlying motion, so maybe I'll hold my comment until then.
Okay. Any other discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all in approval say aye. Aye. Opposed? That carries. So Community Development and Regulatory Services, item 8 is before us. Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you for bringing this forward. There's been a lot of work that's gone into this over the last year. I'm really excited about bringing forward the tiered system, and thank you to the work of Cecil Smith over this last year for it's been really countless hours. And the strategy, of course, with this tiered system is to have a sort of a private market response to help uplift some of these buildings that are presently struggling and perhaps mismanaged by absentee landlords or otherwise. One of the concerns that was initially brought forward was, how do we work with some of the individuals that are housing people of lesser means, in some cases, people who have just gotten out of homelessness without having an adverse impact on the person who's taking the initiative to do that in the first place. In other words, we don't want a a certain number of 911 calls, all from one individual, to preclude an individual who is supplying this affordable housing in the first place. There's been some discussion about the nature of there's some ambiguity which allows specifically Ms. Rivera to have some control over what would constitute a violation and what would not constitute a violation. And I do think it's important to move forward with this, but I just want to note that we hope that Ms. Rivera would have a whole lot of communication and collaboration with the owner themselves.
Any further discussion on item 8? Seeing none, as amended, clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Frye.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
Bender.
Aye.
Liddon.
Aye.
Yang.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Quincy.
Aye.
Warsami.
Aye.
Goodman.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That item is adopted. Next, we have intergovernmental relations, and that committee is chaired by Councilmember Glidden.
Thank you, Madam President. We have 2 items before us today. The first item is regarding our sister city relationships, and this would be a direction to temporarily postpone the creation of any new sister city connections while our staff evaluates our sister cities and including the engagement and involvement of the sister cities that we have at the current time, and explores options including whether there may be a tiered status or other mechanisms to help us better manage our sister city relationships in a robust fashion. Item number 2 is authorizing an extension to our contract for federal lobbying services. This would extend the contract through July 31st, 2015, and increase the amount by $50,000 for an amount not to exceed $410,000. The purpose of this is to allow our IGR staff, intergovernmental relations staff, to review our relationship around federal lobbying services and how much those services are needed, and issue a new request for proposal. So I will move both items.
Councilmember Glidden has moved the 2 items on the intergovernmental relations report. Anyone want to pull anything off for discussion on either of those items? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Frye.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
Bender.
Aye.
Liddon.
Aye.
Yang.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Quincy.
Aye.
Warsami.
Aye.
Goodman.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That report is adopted. Next, we have Transportation and Public Works, and that committee is chaired by Councilmember Reich.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee will be forwarding 8 items today. Item 1 is the use of city-owned infrastructure, and it's a passage of an ordinance amending Title 17, Chapter 451, relating to streets and sidewalks, use of city-owned infrastructure, and establishing a process to proceed to obtain permits to attach communication equipment to city-owned infrastructure. In addition, a resolution around the infrastructure and attachments, and then adopting a right-of-way pole attachment policy. Item 2 is regarding the Powderhorn West Residential Area Street Resurfacing Project, and it's a resolution to designate the area and set a public hearing for May 19th, 2015. The following items referred to the Ways and Means Committee. Item 3 is the 34th Avenue South, 43rd Street East Street Resurfacing Project, and its resolution to proceed with that project. Item 4 is a submission of 2015 Hennepin County Bicycle Sidewalk Grant funding, and that's an authorized submittal of a series of applications to Hennepin County for the 2015 Bicycle Sidewalk Grant solicitation, and authorizing commitment of local funds per county requirement to support those approved projects. Item 5 is the Minnehaha Avenue Reconstruction Project Cooperative Agreement. Next, execution agreement with Hennepin County to show an increase of $491,500 for city's financial obligation as a result of the bid unit prices. Item 6 is the Lake Nokomis Area Private Stormwater Management Practices, and that's authorizing negotiation and execution with agreement with the county to receive $50,000 from the Natural Resource Grant Program for activities that reduce stormwater runoff from the sewer system leading to Lake Nokomis. And also a passage resolution increasing the appropriation of the fund by $50,000 and extending, authorizing negotiations execution agreement with Metro Blooms to carry out the Nokomis Neighbors for Clean Water Work Plan. Item 7 is the Nicollet Central Modern Streetcar Project, authorizing amendment for existing contract with URS to complete additional environmental review and pre-project development tasks for the Nicollet Central Modern Streetcar Project for the amount of $97,000. And the following items are a series of low bids. and one low responsive bid for activities of the department. Madam President, I move all items.
Councilmember Reich has moved the Transportation Public Works report. Anyone want to discuss any of those items or pull anything off? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Frye.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
Bender.
Aye.
Glidden.
Aye.
Yang.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Quincy.
Aye.
Warsami.
Aye.
Goodman.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That report is adopted. Next, we have the Ways and Means Committee, and that committee is chaired by Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam President. Ways and Means brings forward 5 items for your consideration this morning. The first is a amendment to an ordinance related to Comcast cable communications franchise. This is provides the provisions that were in the franchise settlement agreement. Item number 2 is a legal settlement. Item number 3 is accepting a donation of billboard display time from Clear Channel Outdoor. Item number 4 is the approval of mayoral appointments for 2-year terms to the Capital Long Range Improvement Committee. And item number 5 is the annual rollover appropriation adoption. This changes the appropriation from the 2014 year to the 2015 operating budget. Happy to answer any questions, but I'd like to move all 5 items.
Councilmember Quincy has moved the Ways and Means report. Anyone want to discuss any of those items? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Frye.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
Bender.
Aye.
Glidden.
Aye.
Yang.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Quincy.
Aye.
Warsami.
Aye.
Goodman.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That report is adopted. Next, we have the Zoning and Planning Committee report, and that committee is chaired by Councilmember Bender.
Thank you, Madam President. We have 2 items from Zoning and Planning. The first is to deny an appeal on behalf of residents protecting the shoreland overlay and adopt staff findings to approve a site plan review and conditional use permit to increase the maximum height of a building at 4353 Upton Avenue South and 2720 44th Street West. And item number 2 is passage of a resolution approving a vacation for Southwest High School. And I will move those 2 items.
Councilmember Bender has moved the Zoning and Planning report. Anyone want to pull either of those items off or discuss any of that committee's report? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Frye.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
Bender.
Aye.
Glidden.
Aye.
Yang.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Quincy.
Aye.
Warsami.
Aye.
Goodman.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That report is adopted. Next, we have the introduction and referral calendar, and the first is an ordinance introduction. Unanimous consent is required. Councilmember Reich is moving to introduce the subject matter of an ordinance amending the code relating to streets and sidewalks for first reading and referral to the Transportation Public Works Committee, amending special service district provisions to add additional options to address year-end budget surpluses or deficits, changes in certain districts' advisory board composition, and 2 district name changes. Any discussion on that ordinance introduction? Seeing none, all in approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that carries. Next, we have resolutions, and the first is an honorary resolution recognizing Wingspan Life Resources Power of Love Gala. Any discussion on that resolution? Seeing none, all in approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that carries. Next, we have the honorary resolution recognizing Food Allergy Awareness Week. Any discussion on that resolution? Seeing none, all in approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that carries. Next, we have the honorary resolution honoring De La Salle High School Boys Basketball 2015 Minnesota Class AAA Champions. Any discussion on that resolution? Seeing none, all in approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that carries. Next, we have an honorary resolution recognizing National Police Week 2015 and honoring the service and sacrifice of those law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty while protecting our communities and safeguarding our democracy. Any discussion on that resolution? Seeing none, all in approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that carries. Next, we have the resolution supporting a strong economy and working families. And Councilmember Glidden wants to speak to that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As this was added to the agenda, and we do have some folks that are here, I thought I would read the resolution. It's not particularly long, just so that we are clear on what it says. And just as I begin, I want to give a special thank you to the council president, as well as to the mayor's office and several other council members who gave me recommendations and ideas of how we might move forward together that are reflected in this resolution. So thank you for that. This again is a resolution supporting a strong economy and working families, and it is authored by all council members. It states, whereas the city of Minneapolis has a long history and practice of supporting a strong economy for all and policies that create fair, safe, and healthy standards for working people. And whereas the city of Minneapolis has supported policies at the federal, state, regional, and city level that further these goals, including adopting state legislative policy supporting an increase to the minimum wage and earned safe and sick time, as well as city policies on prevailing wage, living wage, smoke-free public and indoor places, equal benefits requirements for city contractors, paid parental leave, fair hiring practices for individuals with a criminal record, otherwise known as ban the box, and more. And whereas the city of Minneapolis has established a community health board with responsibility for identifying local public health needs and implementing plans to address those needs. And whereas the city of Minneapolis continues to support policies that create a strong economy for all and promote the health and wellness of workers and their families, including paid parental leave, earned safe and sick time, fair scheduling, preventing wage theft, and increasing wages through city policy development, state and federal legislative agendas, and regional partnerships. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Minneapolis directs staff to establish a workplace policies work group, including participation as needed from the city attorney, intergovernmental relations, community planning and economic development, health, and civil rights departments, the City Council and mayor's offices to consider state, regional, and city support for earned safe and sick time, fair scheduling, preventing wage theft, and living wages. City Council participation in the work group will be determined by the Council President. The work group will, in 2015, develop policy proposals for Council consideration, including subject matter and proposed ordinance language for earned safe and sick, fair scheduling, and wage theft prevention in the City of Minneapolis. Tasks for the work group shall include design of a robust stakeholder engagement process that includes workers, businesses, and other interested and affected parties. 2, developed a recommendation for study of the effects of establishing a minimum wage regionally and locally, including scope, funding, and development of such study no later than the third quarter of 2015. And finally, that this work group would report to Committee of the Whole and other council committees as needed. And I would go ahead and move this resolution, again, thanking my colleagues. And I also want to give thanks. I know there are many community partners who are here who are interested in the council's work on this and want to be part of that work. I'll also say just recently this week, I attended the Lake Street Business Association board meeting, and just to say that there's very much interest in the business community too for being part of our conversation moving forward. So I really want to thank all of you. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Resolutions before us. Councilmember Cano.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to highlight how this is, Minneapolis is stepping into a national movement, a national trend where a lot of cities, states, in fact, 19 cities across the nation have already done their own economic justice initiatives, mostly involving a minimum wage ordinance. And so we're seeing now at an unprecedented rate that corporations are making their own changes to increase living wages for their workers, to increase wages in general. And so we're seeing Target and Walmart and McDonald's, even though it was only $1, made a step forward in this conversation. So I want us to really look at these issues deeply in the next couple of months. I really want to also acknowledge the role of the mayor's office here and thank Ben Hecker, who has been walking the halls, talking to council members, trying to figure out what that common ground is going to be to help us advance this conversation. I also want to acknowledge that there's a lot of community members here today who have for years
raised this issue. And your hard work, your commitment, your passion to raising up the workers' voices in this discussion have helped us to take action. So thank you for being strong partners in this work. And I'm really excited to be working with all our council members on this effort. And I'm really thankful that we are keeping our conversations open and our doors open for the minimum wage discussion.
Councilmember Bender.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to thank you and Council Vice President for your leadership in bringing this forward. I really appreciate that we were able to add a timeline to this work, in particular because I think there is a sense of urgency for working people in Minneapolis who are going to work every day, often, without the protections that they really need. And one of my constituents is an emergency room physician who has told me story after story of the day-to-day impacts of this. So I think as we do this work, we have included here an ambitious timeline that's going to take all of us working together, as I know we all did, to bring this forward. And I'm really proud of that collaboration that we've all, that this reflects. And that we're going to need to continue to rely on that cooperation and collaboration amongst ourselves, with our business community. I represent a ward that has a lot of small businesses that will need to be part of the conversation. And again, always remembering why we're doing this for the working people of Minneapolis. So I really appreciate the leadership that both of you have provided, along with the mayor's office.
Councilmember Frye.
Thank you, Madam President. Wanted to thank you as well as Council Vice President for all their work on this. Most of the comments about this have already been said, but I just wanted to reiterate, I think this is awesome. And it's really exciting that all of us are on board together with this. Having that union around issues that are as important as these 3 or 4 issues on the docket right now, I think is key. A couple of pieces. First, with regard to the sick time, I as an employment lawyer, I can't tell you how many times I saw issues of health that are then directly reflected in the individual's ability to retain their job. Once they lose their job, they can't pay their mortgage. Once they can't pay their mortgage, they go homeless. And it all begins with one sick time into the health of that particular individual. And the second piece is we've talked a lot about making our city a place that is livable, specifically livable for all. And livable means a combination, I think, of 2 things, which is 1, being able to have a living wage to afford a place to stay in, and 2, having an affordable housing project or development where they can live. And I think this ordinance moves all 4 of these items in a wonderful way.
Councilmember Andrew Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When the mayor announced this initiative at the State of the City, along with Business Made Simple, I think at first blush, people could look at that and say, hey, these are kind of contradictory, one's for business, one's for workers. I just want to really acknowledge that what we're talking about here, what we're doing, if we do it right, it not only benefits workers, it benefits businesses as well. It's reduced absenteeism, it's increased productivity, it's a stronger economy for the community, and I think it can be done right. I think we'll get the details right, and I think it'll be important, as Council Vice President mentioned, to bring businesses to the table during this process and make sure that their voices and concerns are heard. I'm very excited because I think we can really come out with a win for everybody, and I greatly appreciate the leadership of my colleagues and community members in the mayor's office on this issue.
Any further discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, all in approval say aye. Aye. Opposed? That carries. Next, we have unfinished business. Next on our agenda is unfinished business, and the first item, or actually both those items, number 1 and 2, Councilmember Warsame has a motion to make. Councilmember Warsame.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this is the item that we pushed back one cycle regarding the Franklin Bakery parking space. So the motion that I have is to approve the staff recommendation. And the staff recommendation that actually we're approving is the information that they sent us on Wednesday, which highlighted the 20 that met the guidelines that we set, which was 20% greening. And but I would like to add a couple of points to that as well. And basically what it is, the motion I would like to make is to approve the staff recommendation to allow a temporary parking lot, adding the following conditions. 1, a side yard of 7 feet in width shall be provided between the parking area and the property at 1915 10th Avenue South in full conformance with the landscaping and screening requirements of section 530.170 of the zoning code. And the second condition is a barrier such as a fence or a boulder shall be provided between the parking area and the landscaping to clearly define the parking area and prevent vehicles from driving on or parking in the required side yard. And the third condition is parking space number 14 shall be used for compact cars only and labeled as such. So these are the three conditions that basically came about from speaking to the neighbors, and I believe they can easily be incorporated into the plan that Masters sent us on behalf of Franklin Bakery on Wednesday.
Thank you. So Councilmember Warsame has moved under unfinished business the items to approve the staff recommendation with 3 requirements. Councilmember Bender?
Thank you, Madam President. With the 2 items, we also have to move the rezoning. So I'd be happy to move that, which would be for item number 2, to move to approve the rezoning of the property there to allow for a temporary parking facility and to adopt the staff report and findings of fact for both items 1 and 2.
Okay. So Councilmember Bender is moving also the zoning change and adopting staff direction, staff report and findings. Thank you very much for the zoning change.
And then I have a comment.
Pardon? Councilmember Bender.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to speak this because how we ended up with this situation is for whatever happened in the process, a business tore down a home and then came back and asked for the rezoning to allow for a parking lot. And it is a business that I think is very welcomed in the community and is appreciated as a neighbor. But I just wanted to make clear that me personally, going forward here, if there are expansion plans in the future, that I would expect that those would follow the correct process and procedure, and that we not end up back here in the future with a situation where there is a rezoning request after that action has already been taken. So I think this was the best result that we could ask for now that the home that was torn down is gone. There was no sense in leaving a vacant lot there, and I really appreciated all the work that Councilmember Warsame's office did very quickly here in the last couple of weeks to bring together the business, which I think has been very responsive with the neighbors to get a resolution to this. But I just hope that we won't be back in this situation in the future.
Any further discussion then on unfinished business item 1 and 2? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Fry.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
Bender.
Aye.
Glidden.
Aye.
Yang.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Quincy.
Aye.
Warsame.
Aye.
Goodman.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye.
There are 13 ayes.
That report is adopted, or that item is adopted, excuse me. Under new business, we have a notice of intent. So Councilmember Fry gives notice of intent to introduce at the next regular meeting of the City Council the subject matter of an ordinance amending the code relating to license and business regulations, amending provisions related to forms of payment for open air vehicle parking lots. So that notice is given. Next, we have a notice of intent by Councilmember Gordon, who gives notice of intent to introduce at the next regular meeting of the City Council the subject matter of an ordinance amending the code relating to the food code, deleting redundant language and adding or deleting language to remove conflicts with Minnesota statutes and rules. That notice is given. Councilmember Gordon also gives notice of intent to introduce at the next regular meeting of the City Council the subject matter of an ordinance amending the code relating to health and sanitation, public swimming pool code, adding or deleting language to remove conflicts with Minnesota statutes and rules. That notice is given. Councilmember Gordon also gives notice of intent to introduce at the next regular meeting of the City Council the subject matter of an ordinance amending the code relating to housing maintenance code, adding or deleting language to remove conflicts with Minnesota statutes and rules. That notice is given. Councilmember Bender gives notice of intent to introduce at the next regular meeting of the City Council the subject matter of an ordinance following ordinances amending Title 20 of the code relating to the zoning code, establishing flexibility related to the conversion of existing buildings to single and two-family homes in high-density districts. That notice is given. Councilmember Andrew Johnson gives notice of intent to introduce at the next regular meeting of the City Council the subject matter of an ordinance amending Title 13, Chapter 259 of the Minneapolis Code of Ordinances relating to license and business regulations, allowing temporary hours of operation, allowing temporary extended hours, of operation licenses. That notice is given. Councilmember Andrew Johnson also gives notice of intent to introduce at the next meeting of the City Council the subject matter of an ordinance amending the code relating to licenses and business regulations, secondhand dealers, amending, consolidating, and restructuring provisions related to secondhand goods. That notice is given. Councilmember Andrew Johnson gives notice of intent to introduce at the next meeting of the City Council the subject matter of an ordinance amending the code relating to license and business regulations by repealing Chapter 315 relating to motor vehicle lubricant dealers. That notice is given. Councilmember Johnson also gives notice of intent to introduce at the next regular meeting in the City Council the subject matter of an ordinance amending the code relating to the zoning code, amending regulations related to commercial murals. That notice is given. Next, we have
Madam
announcements. Are there any announcements? Councilmember Gordon.
So actually, this is a clarification about notices of intents. I do have an announcement too, but I just wanted to clarify for the clerk and us that I would like item number 2 of notice of intent to be Andrew Johnson's notice of intent. There was some miscommunication, and he really has done more work on this, and he's put this forward.
All right,
So
thank you.
we'll just note that, and
Okay.
he's agreed to that,
All
and he
right.
wants to do that.
Great.
And then,
Councilmember Gordon.
thank you very much. I just wanted to mention that tomorrow, Saturday, April 18th, 11 to 9 p.m. is going to be a celebration of Record Store Day in Minneapolis, and Jaime Vintage Records at 3820 East Lake Street will be having a block party. I believe that we passed actually a proclamation in the past about this, and this event is going on again this year, and I hope people will stop by and enjoy the day.
Councilmember Yang.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to speak maybe a little bit briefly about the fire that happened on West Broadway on the 900 block. It's my understanding that some of the addresses were, very much affected by it, from about 909 West Broadway to about 917 West Broadway. I mean, some of that stuff was burned completely to the ground. There are a couple of businesses on, I guess, the bookends that are saved, and our building inspectors are doing everything they can to go into those structures to see if they're structurally sound for businesses to return. The city has done pretty much everything we could in terms of trying to save those buildings. The fire department, it was a 3-alarm fire, and the fire department put in about 40 firefighters to go to fight that fire on top of fire cadets that were sent that way. And so I want to give a big shout out to our fire department for that. The fortunate thing about this fire was that there were no casualties or no fatalities. All 20 of the tenants are being housed at this point by the Red Cross. So those folks were taken care of. And, at some level, I mean, the city is going to respond in a measured sort of way that's going to help out the businesses, the tenants, and I just want to let people know that this issue is something that is really close to all of us, and we want to do the best we can as a city to respond to this. So, I've been updating folks on Facebook, and whenever anybody calls my office, we're up to date on what's happening. But we will rebuild, and we will make it a lot better.
Thank you. Councilmember Andrew Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to mention that not this Saturday, but next Saturday, the 25th, is Earth Day. And I wanted to note that what will go into effect is the ban on expanded polystyrene containers, along with a requirement for businesses to offer either recycling or composting with that. I want to thank staff for all the incredible work they've done around that issue, engaging the business community, doing outreach. I also wanted to mention, too, that there are a lot of events for Earth Day across the entire city. I'm sure there's one in probably every single ward. I will mention one in my ward. The Friends of the Mississippi River is doing an event on East 36th Street and West River Parkway from 9:30 to noon. I hope you can join me and all the other community members in helping to clean up our river and our beautiful bluffs and gorge. Thanks.
Councilmember Cano.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to also highlight that there is, a comment, the comments from Councilmember Blangyang about the West Broadway issue. There's a big fundraiser being planned this weekend, but also wanted to share with you all that on April 28th, the folks from Minneapolis that attended the Barcelona trip on public markets will be giving a report back. So it includes people from Juxtaposition Arts, the West Broadway Area Coalition, obviously myself, and we invite you to come at the Midtown Global Market. Hopefully we can entice you with some good food that morning. It'll be early in the morning, but we should have food available for purchase from La Loma and the bakery there. Thank you. I'm like, I always meet people in front there. But also note that on May 1st, it's a big day of action for the immigrant community. So there will be a lot of things happening around the driver's license bill for all and the Safety for All campaign at the Capitol. And of course, the May Day parade is that weekend on Sunday. And on May 2nd, that Saturday, is the opening of the Midtown Farmers Market. So hopefully you guys can come and take a look.
Any further announcements? Seeing none, a motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. We're adjourned. Thank you.